All right, there is no beating around the bush on this one. Training for a triathlon is pretty tough. So wouldn't it be nice to get some tips, tricks, and some hacks for your own personal training? Well, in today's video, we have got just that, some from ourselves and some for the pros across all three disciplines. So whether you want to be more efficient and savvy in your training, or maybe get some nutritional pointers that you'll keep in mind for race day, we have got you covered. Now, drafting is most often associated with riding, but don't be fooled, there is much to be gained from drafting whilst running, as Heather and Fraser explain here.
Now, as triathletes, we should be well aware of the benefits of drafting. But as a quick reminder, if we were on the bikes and sitting at the back of a group of riders, we could be saving up to 40%, which is a lot of energy saving.
Yeah, it's not as significant when it comes to running, but there is still a benefit there, as proven by the Journal of Applied Physiology. They did an experiment on a calm day to measure the amount of energy that you're expending to get rid of that air resistance. And they found that for sprinters, it was around 8%, for middle distance runners 4%, and if you're running a marathon, up to 2%.
Yeah, now if you're running into a headwind, then this is significantly more obvious. So effectively, if you're out running and behind other runners, there's a benefit for you to be had. And if we've ever run in a training group or been out with some other friends, we can definitely feel the benefit of that when we're behind them. So as a takeaway, when you're next in a race, try to find somebody that perhaps is a little bit taller than you and tuck in behind.
Now, even with the best laid plans, inevitably we will all hit road bumps in our training at some point. And Fraser recalls on some smart advice from David McNamee in regards to listening to your body, but also working at the right intensity in your training to get the most from your sessions.
So talking about racing and being able to set ourselves up for that successful race is something that got me thinking about chats I would have with my fellow Scot and good buddy David McNamee. Now, David is definitely an advocate of making sure that if you get ill, which unfortunately happens to all of us, but we do think we're superhuman, is to just back off the accelerator and just take some time to recover and get better. It's much better to take a day, 2, 3 off of your training rather than just muddle through average weeks of training for the sake of doing it. And in terms of the training, when you're doing it well, that's another thing that David really hammered home, was that the hard sessions should be really hard so you get the most out of those quality sessions. But then similarly, the easy recovery sessions have to be easy too, so that you could absorb all of the work that you're getting from those hard sessions.
Now, finding shortcuts to better deal with your nutrition is always useful, but Heather also has a nice hack for us here that you can do with your gels to use both on race day and in training.
If you're doing a longer distance race and you need lots of gels, you might struggle to find enough room in your bento box, and maybe your tri-suit doesn't have pockets at the back. So there is a solution. You can use a water bottle and you can just empty your gel packets into your bottle, and then depending on the consistency of the gel, you might need to add some water, just enough so that it can make its way out through the top of your bottle.
And understanding the use of caffeine shouldn't be underestimated either for racing or for training.
Now then, this is one that is tried and tested for most of us. Caffeine is well proven to make us feel more alert in the morning, but more importantly, it can help by altering our perception of pain by affecting our neuroreceptors. And that effect can help us push harder and faster for longer. Some athletes even decide to abstain from caffeine for quite a while to give themselves an even bigger hit on race morning. But there is a slight caveat that has to come with this, because caffeine does help encourage us to go to the loo, so just be careful to make sure you know how much you're going to take.
Do you ever wonder how you can add some resistance training to your swim workouts without needing any fancy equipment? Well, Fraser has some smart suggestions here, and Heather also has some nifty methods for storing your swim equipment.
Now, there are some specialist bits of equipment out there that you can use to increase your drag when swimming, such as swim parachutes or bungee cords and the like. And the theory behind that is that the drag makes it harder to swim, so that when you pop them off, swimming feels that much easier. But you don't need to splash out on all these fancy bits of equipment. You can just use your own, such as, say, a pair of running shorts. They can just go on over the top of your swim kit. But do make sure you use one with, well, say, a draw cord, because you can very quickly have them around your ankles when you push off from the wall. You can also put on an old pair of running tights over your swim cozy as well. And another trick is to just double up with another older pair of swimming trunks, or shorts even, that can go over the top of your cozy or trunks that you're already wearing.
enough kit to wash and dry every day as it is. So the last thing you want to do is get that dry kit that's in your bag contaminated with a pungent chlorine smell. Now, I learnt this hack a few years ago, basically using a swimming cap to keep the rest of your kit dry. So once you finish your swim, make sure you've rinsed and squeeze dried your swimsuit, and then all you need to do is pop it inside your swimming hat, and that way it should keep the rest of your kit dry. If you want to be really safe, then wrap it in a towel to keep it dry from the rest of the kit, or pop it in a side pocket out of the way. It saves you getting a towel extra wet, and it also keeps the rest of your kit dry. But if you don't have a swimming hat, I'm aware some people don't swim with caps, then you could use a specific dry bag or even a plastic rag, put it in there, and then you can easily pop it inside your bag, and the rest of your kit is fine.
And if you need to keep your swim fitness up whilst traveling, well, we have an ingenious hack here from a pro, which I field tested too.
It's when we're traveling around the world and you get to a hotel and you're excited because it has a pool, and then it's like 7 meters long. So now we travel with one of those like surfboard straps.
Okay, like a leash.
Yes, yeah, okay. A leash. So attach it to something like either on the side of the pool or outside of the pool, or a friend you don't mind falling in holding it, and then strap it to your ankle and you've got an endless pool.
That's an awesome idea. I've honestly never come across this before, so we've got our leash. I'm going to give it a go, but I am a little bit skeptical about it maybe disrupting my stroke, but let's get in, give it a go. Okay, so that is the surfboard leash tested, and I've got to say, really quite impressed. It didn't disrupt my swim stroke as much as I expected. And as Emma said, if you are traveling, you're staying at hotels that maybe got a 15-meter pool, you're not gonna get a great swim session in there. So this is a really good option, and it's small, doesn't take up much space in your suitcase, so you could just have one in your suitcase ready to go at all times. Now, nobody wants to throw away energy or speed whilst out cycling, so allow me to explain how you can look after and maintain your drivetrain and tyres to eke out the extra bit of free speed out on the road. It's important to keep our bikes clean and in good working order. So if your bike is filthy and poorly working, then it's not going to be fast, or at least as fast as it could be, and that is my excuse today. Now, if your chain and cassette are all clogged up with dirt, then it's not only going to affect your shifting, it's also going to affect that transmission of power. So you need to make sure you keep on top of cleaning it and keeping it well lubricated. And when you are maintaining that, it's also a really good opportunity to check over your tyres, because these are very important for a couple of reasons. One, prevents us from getting punctures. So if they are looking worn out or past their best, then it's possibly worth replacing them, because if you do get a puncture, that is going to dramatically decrease your average speed when you're out on a ride. But they also play a very big part, and that is our rolling resistance. Now, there is a lot of new science and studies going into our tyres and rolling resistance, but the current train of thought is that having more supple tyres that deform and flex with the road slightly better have a lower rolling resistance. So with that, that has brought about this slightly wider, lower pressure. So the most popular tyres these days are around 25 mil, and rather than pumping them right up to 100 to 110 psi, we're now looking at around the 90 psi region. And Heather asked GCN presenter Hank to explain how he uses the indoor trainer best to replicate hitting the hills.
When you're riding indoors, it's really easy to just go on the flat and everything's the same. But coming to outside, it's very different. How can we start to replicate outdoors when we're inside? Any tips on that?
I think there's different efforts you can do on the trainer that can really help you when you do get outside. So the things that I like to work on is kind of those torque efforts.
Right.
So
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, so I mean, I tend to do kind of like 10 minutes at 300 watts or 15 minutes. Yeah, sorry. And so I kind of do those high kind of tempo efforts, but with a low cadence, so sitting at around 70 RPM. Okay. And it's much easier on a trainer to kind of be specific in the way, the power and the cadence you're sitting at, because you don't have, stop lights or ups or down hills, or even traffic for that matter.
And what would you do if you say you had a hilly race coming up, you had to do all your training indoors? Is there anything you would change with your training for that?
I would just put in blocks, so I do kind of like 4 efforts at kind of depending on what kind of climbs I'm doing. So if they're 10-minute long or if they're 20-minute long, I'd kind of aim to look at that distance or that time and then put in 2 to 3 at 80%. And that way you can kind of, you're not going max, but then you're still getting the benefits of doing those prolonged efforts.
Nice.
And as you know, here at GTN, we've been lucky to hang out with and chat to a number of the pros, and they have been kind enough to share some of their mistakes with us over the years. Some I really wouldn't advise, particularly this one from Andy Potts.
So, Andy Potts here. I've done a lot of dumb things to get ready to races, to try to see what works and what doesn't work. Probably one of the dumbest things I've ever done was I slapped my thighs really hard. Just started banging on it super hard, thinking it will enhance blood flow. Well, I'd seen sprinters do it before they race. I thought, oh, that'd be great for a triathlete. Yeah, not so much. Terrible idea. Literally a minute into my bike ride, both legs seized up, couldn't pedal my bicycle for 15 minutes. It was awful. Made it through the day, made the right decision to never do that again.
Well, there's some tips, tricks, and some hacks for your own personal triathlon training. We hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that thumbs up button, give it a like, and make sure that you're following GTN on social media and subscribe to us on YouTube.